So welcome to the Monday evening masterclass. We're going to talk tonight about how Ayurveda deals with hypertension or high blood pressure. One of the things that I want to tell you is if you have like high blood pressure or hypertension due to a stressful situation, then a lot of times diet and lifestyle, yoga, meditation, getting enough rest are things that can help manage that. However, if it's long-term hypertension or high blood pressure, you really need to go to your regular doctor and work with the regular doctor. If you're going to use Ayurvedic practices and herbs and things like that, make sure that you're always communicating that with your Western medicine doctor. It's one of those conditions that can be much more serious and lead to heart disease. You want to make sure you're getting medical supervision and care. So hypertension is basically what happens when the blood pressure is high. And in Ayurveda, it falls into three categories. So it's either going to be a Vata condition caused by Vata, caused by Pitta, or caused by Kapha, or it can be all three of those. Remember, Vata is the ether, air elements, and Pitta is the fire element mostly. And then Kapha is your water and your earth. And I'm making sure that I'm reading my notes because this is a more complicated topic. Vata is responsible for constriction of the blood vessels. Vata is also responsible for all movement in the body. So this frequently happens when we get into old age. As we get older, somewhere around 65, the walls of the blood vessels often become thicker and the passage through the blood vessels becomes more narrow. And with the result that many individuals end up with hypertension, known as essential hypertension. This is a Vata condition, and it's different than narrowing of the arteries that occurs as a result of fatty deposits. So that's a different cause. And the fatty deposits end up on the arterial walls, and that is a Kapha condition. So that is a different cause. A lot of times when I'm talking to people, I went to Trader Joe's today and there was a girl and we started talking about, I don't know, they started asking me something and I said, oh, well, what did they say? What do you do? And I said, I do alternative medicine. She's like, oh, well, can you help me with headaches? I'm like, yeah, well, what's the cause of your headaches? She's like, well, I don't know. And here's the thing. I told her, I said, well, you're depleted and most likely there's heat involved in the headache. She's like, no, I have autoimmune. Well, the thing is that I can't just, what I realized from that conversation is she didn't understand anything that I said to her because I was breaking things down to root cause. People don't understand that when you eat too much spicy foods, it leads to a condition eventually. If you eat too many foods that are dry, it will lead to a condition if you do it too much. If you eat too many foods that are high in fat or oily, it will eventually lead to a condition. So I'm always talking about the root cause. You're either depleted, you're neutral, or you have excess. And that is, you know, what's nice about Ayurveda is that we can be more general about that stuff. And if somebody's depleted, boom, I know right off the bat things that I can give to those people. Pitta, by the way, for hypertension is responsible for the rushing of the blood. So the force of the blood. So if it's too slow, that's not enough force. If it's too fast, that's too much force, too much heat. And Kapha is related to the increased blood viscosity. Okay, physical and emotional stress, including anger, anxiety, all constrict the blood vessels and can increase blood pressure for a time being. So that's what I was talking about, like a situational thing, you know, a temporary stress that can lead to hypertension. Those are things that you can use yoga, you can use herbs, you can use exercise, you can use meditation, and those will help, and getting enough sleep and rest. Those will help manage it. But when it becomes more constant, then you're dealing with a bigger problem. There is, so physical, emotional pain, causes heavy responsibility, stressful situation, public speaking. There are even a phenomenon called the white coat syndrome that can cause anxiety and tension, increase the blood pressure. It's common and it's more psychological. So that's, like I said, you can manage that. But it's temporary. But if your high blood pressure stays high, then it becomes dangerous because that leads to heart disease. You have to really be careful. Foods to help with hypertension are mango juice. So I'm going to give you just a few different things. You can drink 1 cup of mango juice followed about an hour later with warm milk and a pinch of cardamom and a pinch of nutmeg and 1 teaspoon of ghee. And what that does is it helps with hypertension. Okay, so that's something that you can do. Another thing is to mix orange juice and coconut water. Natural juice inside a fresh coconut is best. In a ratio of 2 parts orange, 1 part coconut. And you drink 1/2 to 1 cup 2 or 3 times a day. That sounds delightful. And another thing that you can take is add 1 teaspoon of coriander and 1 pinch of cardamom to 1 cup of freshly squeezed peach juice. Not canned, by the way. It needs to be fresh. Drink it as many as 2 to 3 times a day to help with high blood pressure. Eating watermelon with a pinch of cardamom and a pinch of coriander added also helps. It's also a mild diuretic, and it will help regulate your blood pressure. You can also do cucumber, and cucumber is it's a diuretic also. It's also cooling. So what you do is you could take yogurt, a yogurt-based drink, and you know what, we're going to pass on that one because it's complicated. You have to cook it and all of that. Mung dal soup is also very beneficial, and you want to add cilantro, cumin, and a pinch of turmeric for people who have hypertension. Honey water is also good. Add a teaspoon of honey and 5 to 10 drops of apple cider vinegar to a cup of hot water and drink it in the early morning. This drink helps reduce cholesterol, maintains the viscosity, and it helps to regulate blood pressure. Okay, so those are just some things that you can do. You also want to avoid all of the pitta increasing foods. So hot, spicy, pungent, you got to stay away from them because they increase heat, right? There's also lots of herbs that you can do for high blood pressure, but we're just going to keep it with the foods because that's something that is more doable for everybody. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. Just a little bit of information to help high blood pressure. I'm mostly referring to temporary high blood pressure. If you have a more consistent, constant issue, you want to definitely talk to your doctor. Okay, and I'm always here to help you guys with Ayurveda. Please reach out to me anytime you have any questions and you're wanting to try Ayurveda out for whatever it is that's going on in your life. It really does work. It really does.